Worms turned my kitchen scraps into black gold in just 7 days, and I want to walk you through exactly how it happened so you can do the same thing at home. Around here, I'm always looking for ways to squeeze a little more value out of everyday waste, and my kitchen is one of the best sources of free fertilizer I have. Instead of throwing away peels, ends, and leftovers, I decided to see how fast I could get my worm colony to turn that weekly bucket of scraps into something my garden would absolutely love. What started as a simple experiment has now become one of my favorite routines, and by the end of this, you'll see why. If you've been with the channel for a while, you might remember when I turned kitchen scraps into liquid gold in just 5 days using a fermentation method. That gave us a powerful liquid fertilizer, but this time I wanted to focus on something different. Solid, crumbly worm castings that can feed the soil slowly and steadily. Worm castings are what I call slow-release black gold. They don't just feed the plants, they improve the structure of the soil, boost microbial life, and help everything in the garden hold moisture and nutrients better. So this time, instead of a bucket of fermenting scraps, I turned to my worm bin and gave the worms a special 7-day challenge. I started by looking at what I normally throw away in the kitchen over the course of a week. There were carrot and potato peels, lettuce cores, onion ends, coffee grounds, tea bags, apple cores, a few banana peels, and some eggshells. On their own, tossed in the trash or even in a traditional compost pile, these would take weeks or months to fully break down. But in the hands, or I should say the mouths, of a healthy worm colony, they become something far more valuable in a fraction of the time. The first step was to collect those scraps in a small container on the counter, making sure not to include meat, dairy, or anything too oily, since those can cause problems in a worm bin. Once I had my week's worth of scraps, I didn't just dump them in whole. One of the biggest keys to getting results this quickly is to reduce the size of the material before you feed it to the worms. I grabbed a cutting board and a knife and spent a few minutes chopping everything into small pieces, roughly the size of a fingernail or smaller. Banana peels were cut into thin strips. Lettuce and cabbage pieces were sliced into narrow shreds, and any thicker stems were chopped into tiny chunks. The smaller the pieces, the more surface area there is for bacteria and fungi to colonize, and those microbes are what the worms actually love to eat. Before adding anything new, I checked on my worm bin. This was an established colony of red wigglers that I've been nurturing for a while, not a brand new setup. There was already a layer of finished or nearly finished castings at the bottom, and on top of that, a mix of older bedding materials like shredded cardboard, paper, and some decomposing food from previous feedings. When I lifted the bedding, I saw what I wanted to see. Plenty of active worms, a few tiny cocoons, and that rich, earthy smell that tells you things are in balance. Starting with a healthy, active bin is like starting with a seasoned cast-iron skillet. It's already alive with the right kind of biology. To set up this 7-day batch, I pulled back the top few inches of bedding in one section of the bin and created a feeding zone. I sprinkled in a light layer of my chopped kitchen scraps, then added a little handful of finished castings from another part of the bin. That handful is like adding a sourdough starter to a bread dough. It inoculates the fresh food with the right microbes and helps everything start breaking down faster. On top of that, I added another layer of chopped scraps, a few crushed eggshells for grit and calcium, and then some moistened shredded cardboard to help balance all that nitrogen-rich food with some good carbon. Moisture and temperature are absolutely critical if you want fast results. After layering everything, I checked how it felt in my hands. I grabbed a handful of the mixture and squeezed. What I was looking for was that wrung-out sponge feeling, damp but not dripping. If it had been too dry, I would have misted it with a spray bottle. If it had been too wet, I would have added more dry cardboard or leaves. The bin then went back to its usual home, a quiet, shaded area where the temperature stays in that comfortable 65 to 75 degree range. That's the zone where worms are most active and can eat their body weight in food every day. On day 2, I lifted the lid and gently peeled back the top layer just to see how things were progressing. Already the bright colors of the vegetable scraps were starting to fade, and the edges looked softer. The worms had started to move in from the surrounding bedding, clustering around the juiciest pieces like melon rinds and lettuce ribs. There was no foul smell, just that clean, earthy scent that tells you everything is aerobic and healthy. I resisted the temptation to disturb the material too much. Instead, I just checked the moisture, gave 1 or 2 dry spots a light mist, and let the worms get back to work. By day 4, the changes were dramatic. When I dug my fingers gently into the feeding zone, what had been clearly recognizable food was now a dark, partially uniform mass. There were still a few bits of eggshell and some tougher stems lingering, but most of the peels and soft material had lost their original shape. Everywhere I looked, worms were threaded through the mix, leaving behind tiny granules of castings. The volume had already shrunk as water evaporated, and the worms processed the food, concentrating all that nutrition into a smaller space. The material was darker, the texture was softer, and the line between food and bedding was starting to blur. The real magic happened between days 5 and 7. During this period, the bin didn't need much from me besides a quick check-in. Each time I opened it, I saw more of that rich, coffee ground-like texture building up. By letting the worms work undisturbed, they were able to move efficiently through the feeding zone, eating, digesting, and depositing castings as they went. On the morning of day 7, I decided it was time to harvest a sample so I could see what we had created. I chose the section where I had added the kitchen scraps, pushed aside the topmost bits of bedding, and scooped out a generous handful. What I held in my hand looked nothing like the kitchen scraps that had gone in a week earlier. Instead of bright orange carrot peels and green lettuce cores, I saw a dark, crumbly material that held together lightly when squeezed, and then fell apart again with a gentle rub between my fingers. There were still a few tiny shards of eggshell, which is perfectly normal and even beneficial in the garden, but the bulk of the material was pure castings and very fine, partially processed organic matter. It smelled like a forest floor after a rain, that deep, rich, living smell that every organic gardener loves. I didn't stop at just admiring the texture. To really test this 7-day black gold, I took a small pot, filled it with a mixture of regular garden soil and a generous portion of these fresh castings, and planted a few fast-growing seeds. Right beside it, I planted the same seeds in plain soil without castings. Within a week or two, the difference was already visible. The seedlings in the worm-enhanced mix were sturdier, darker green, and just looked happier overall. That quick little test confirmed what I already suspected. Even in just 7 days, the worms had transformed my kitchen scraps into something that plants instantly recognize as food and comfort. This system has now become part of my regular routine. Instead of letting kitchen scraps pile up or tossing them into a slow, cold compost pile, I batch them, chop them, and feed them to my worms in focused zones of the bin. Every week or so, I have a fresh pocket of worm black gold ready to use for top-dressing container plants, tucking around the base of tomatoes and peppers, or mixing into potting soil for new starts. It's a quiet, almost invisible process, but the impact on soil health and plant vigor is anything but small, and all of it started with the simple decision to give those everyday kitchen scraps one more chance to serve the garden before they disappeared forever. If this 7-day worm bin experiment gave you some new ideas for your own garden, go ahead and hit that like button so more gardeners can find it. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video in this organic gardening and composting series. And down in the comments, tell me what you're doing with your kitchen scraps right now, or what questions you have about starting or improving your own worm bin, because I'd love to help you turn your waste into black gold too.